On the confrontation between the FCT Minister, His Excellency Ezenwo Nyesom Wike, and Lieutenant Yerima of the Navy over a piece of property, the junior officer was assigned to a man by a much senior officer who, according to His Excellency, said he was the former Chief of Naval Staff. The FCT minister in a civilian role outranks the junior officer in that he reports directly from, he was appointed by the president and is a member of the executive arm of government, which means that the military are under him. But there are what they call due process. Yes, due process. It requires parties involved in a dispute to follow step-by-step approach or approaches in order to resolve a matter in a way that it does not degenerate into violence like what we saw playing out in that viral video. His Excellency Nyesom Wike, I think it is very, very uncalled for and wrong to address a man in military wear or an officer of the law in such derogatory remarks, calling him a fool, asking him to shut up his mouth, saying that when you were in school, he had not, maybe whether he was not born yet or he was not in the military when you were in school. Sir, all those things don't matter. They don't matter. I think the person that you have an issue with is not this junior officer. You were told that maybe you were reported to that the land had been occupied by military personnel. And what should have been done would have been for you to call the Chief of Defense Staff or Chief of Naval Staff the way you ended up doing after you met unwarranted resistance. You would have done that to know, okay, why is this piece of land occupied? Because you mentioned in that video that the officer should have reached out to you, the officer of such rank should have reached out to you and say, okay, this is the situation. When you found that when your men got to that piece of property that they met resistance, I think what should have been good to do would have been for you to reach out. So when you find out that the men, they were naval officers, reach out to the Chief of Naval Staff and say, okay, what is going on? My boys went to that piece of property and this is what we met. I think that institutions in Nigeria needs to do better. The lieutenant in that video was being respectful. He said, you called him a fool. He said he was not a fool, sir. You told him to shut up his mouth. He said he would not shut up his mouth because he was acting under higher authority. And these are the things you should have done. If he was acting under higher authority, what you should have done was, who is the higher authority that you are acting under? And you would have reached out to this higher authority to tell them, okay, this land is being contested, and we are inviting you to see how we would have a resolve in this matter. Instead of you risking the life of men of the Nigerian police and men of the military men who were already engaging in skirmishes, which over time, if it was not contained, maybe it would have led to injury or the loss of life of some officers. We must learn how to manage power. Everything is not gra-gra. Everything is not gra-gra, Honorable Minister. There are some times that you need to deal with matters diplomatically. There are times that you need to, it's not everything that you will kill all of us here, you'll kill all of us here. You know, it's wrong. This is a democratic government where, look at how it's done elsewhere. Look at how he's done. Donald Trump, even as powerful as he is, he doesn't get into matters where, look, he has had confrontations with maybe governors of states who disagree, like in the Chicago instance, where the Chicago mayor said that their state was okay when he was trying to deploy military into. We can do things. It's not everything. Look at you're telling him that when you were serving, whether he was in school. Does that even matter? That's what we see when we go to all these offices, when we go to government institutions, go to passport office, go to a custom office, go to even the lecturers of the university. See the way they are talking to students, just because of the power they wield. It is democracy. It is democracy. Power is with the people. You people are too arrogant. Look at you calling a military officer a fool in the full glare of the Nigerian people. And I commend this officer. I don't know how it works in their ranks, but for him to stand his ground and say, I am not a fool, sir. Nigerians, young Nigerians, that is you. That should be you. When your lecturers call you goats in classrooms because they know that if you retaliate, they will tell them, sir, I am not a goat, sir. I am a Nigerian student coming here to learn to better the laws of this country. Because most of these things you are learning even for the interest of this nation. And look at what he's telling them. He's calling him a fool. He said he was operating under orders by higher authorities. You should reach out to that higher authority.